is Jonathan Blanchard. Jonathan, say hello. Tell him about that lower voice.
Good evening.
There you go. So if he does nothing else, he can do voiceover. Jonathan's artistic tastes were first forged in grade school. By the time he entered East High School, his curiosity led him to sing in various choruses and to act in a number of theater productions, while earning a Bachelor's of Science in Commercial Music and a Master in Science in Music education degrees from Tennessee State. He learned to weave the various elements of his artistic nature into his magnetic style of delivery. His artistry transcends jazz, bistro, and concert hall venues, and his stage credits include roles in The Priest, In Your Arms Too Short to Box with God, Bernardo, A West Side Story, Simeon, and
Joseph America.
Yes.
Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yes, and a myriad of other things, including voiceover work. Yes, appeared on Memphis WREG Live at 9 program, and most recently has been featured singing, been the featured singing artist on the PBS film Underground Railroad, Quilt Coat for Georgia Public Broadcasting. And so he's more than qualified to be up here, I think. So would you again welcome Jonathan Blanchard? To Jonathan's right, we have Ken Ford. Ken was born in St. Louis, Missouri, grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and Atlanta, Georgia. Ken's dad was a DJ, and that musical exposure brought the sounds of jazz, blues, classical, and R&B music to Ken's childhood. In his school years in Atlanta, he was a founding member of the DeKalb Youth Pops Orchestra and became the concert master in the African American Philharmonic Orchestra. Ken worked as an IT programmer during the day and became an in-demand professional musician at night, releasing a series of albums from Burnt Toast to Chevelle Lane and his latest, Right Now. Ken has recorded with Bruno Mars, Jill Scott, Chaka Khan, and CeeLo Green, and many others. Too many for me to list here. Ken continues to bring his lifelong passion for music to others, changing their state of mind about the violin in a symphony of lush and enchanting melodies. So, again, Ken Ford, thank you for being here. All right, and we have Alfred Williams, Al T. Say hello, Al T.
Hi. I didn't read your bio.
I'm going to go a little bit here. If I can get the phone to turn back. If I can get the phone to go back. Right side up. I'm just going to do a little bit, then I'm going to let you fill in the blanks here.
Okay, sounds good.
So Al T is one of the busiest live sound mixers. Veteran engineer, has run the mix for a wide variety of artists, including Kool and the Gang, the SOS Band, Rachel Farrell, Angie Stone, Bobby Brown, and a host of others. Needless to say, Al T has had his fingers on more than a few sets of faders over the years, and with no shortage of high-end mixing consoles to choose from. His desk of choice is the PreSonus. Now, this was an advertisement a bit, but the point is, we like PreSonus, so that's okay.
So, see what I had to say to get that free equipment. No, I'm just joking.
The bottom line is Al T is more than qualified to be sitting up here. So I said, if you would, he was the only one that I didn't have a bio on, so I said, if you'd give me something, and so I said, okay, we're going to start with Likes Blue Hats with A's on it. Okay? So anyway, Al, we're going to let you fill in the blanks.
Okay, the other blanks is I've been working in the industry for at least 2.5 decades. Pretty much I work with every artist like Kool and the Gang, all the old school, even Nicki, Drake, 50, Jay Sean, Ken Ford, even Ludacris. So if you see Luda, you'll see me most of the time with DTP. Work with everybody, even the most recent artists. So I'm still kicking it, making it happen.
There you go. Welcome, Al T. And on the very end, we have Terrence Mims, and Terrence has spent over 15 years in the music business, specializing in marketing and promotions, manufacturing, production, CDs, DVDs, graphics, flyers, posters, and promotional material. His client list includes Universal Records, Dodge Motors, Shady Records, Convict Records, Speech, DTP, and Polo Don and Perry. on me. I'm sorry.
Hold on, Don.
What is it? Pull it the don.
He's a super producer.
Yeah. He's the man. So if you'll pronounce the whole thing for me, I'd appreciate
It's
it.
great. It's cool.
So anyway, Terrence, again, more than qualified to be up here, and if you will, welcome Terrence, and we're gonna have a great night tonight. So, the title of this seminar is How to Make Music Your Real Job, and I think that's really what everybody would like to do. And we'll start with Jonathan, and tell us a little bit about how you made the transition from regular guy to being able to make your living in music.
Well, I went into college studying molecular biology. And
One of those stupid folks.
right. And I found out that the music department was giving scholarships. So I switched my major to music. And that's
There you go.
right. That's, you know,
There you are.
that was pretty much the start of it. No, I always had a love for entertainment. And I think around that freshman year in college, I decided that I wanted to pursue music despite what anybody had said, despite not having had any real formal training. I decided that's what I want to do with my life. And it was kind of like, it's kind of like one of those things, you don't really choose it, it kind of chooses you. You know, matriculated on through Tennessee State University and came down to Hot Atlanta around 2002, thinking that I was going to teach music, but at that time, music teachers weren't being hired, so I had to make my own way. And I did that by doing what I do best, and that is teaching history through music. So I used the music to teach, and it opens a plethora of doors, particularly when you're dealing with education. So these days I spend a lot of my time doing college tours, as well as K through 12, integrating the Negro spiritual and songs from the Civil Rights Movement into their reading, math, and social studies curriculum, while at the same time working on original pieces, whether they be secular, you know, I do a little Barry White, and or whether they are protest songs, you know. So that is pretty much, in a nutshell, what I do. Is that
Very cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so, when would you say that you actually made that transition? Was it right there in college? You think that?
You know what? The transition was already made. It just took me until college to accept it.
There you go.
You know, it wasn't, and it was an easy transition for me. It was not an easy transition for my parents, but they have come along. My mother's my manager now, and my dad does my books, so
Well,
it works out.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because a lot of people out here, they're artists and they're writers and they're in the arts, and that's sometimes it's hard for the parents to grasp that.
Yeah.
When there's get a real job, and that's exactly what we're talking about tonight.
At the end of the day, you're the only person responsible for your happiness. So that means you need to be doing what you want to do. There's nothing out there that is going to be as satisfying financially as having peace of mind and peace of your soul, because you've chosen your own path, regardless of whether it takes you. I mean, there are ups and downs, but there are people in 9 to 5s that are having ups and downs. So you might as well struggle doing something you love.
Well, Ken, tell us what makes you happy.
Oh, is this a different question? Or?
It's the same question.
I know. Good.
Let's
Okay,
just say we're sticking musically with the
Okay,
question.
good singing music. Okay. Well, what had happened? My story is a little different. You want the short version, long version?
We want as long as you want to give us.
No, okay, all right. Well, I was born. No, I'm kidding. No, so like my bio said, my dad was a DJ, and I was always around music. I used to go to all the parties with him. I was helping him with the records, and actually at an early age, I was at this house party one time, and there was this little girl there, and she had a little toy keyboard. And I started playing this Al Green song as my dad was playing it, but I was playing with her with the other hand. So I had the keyboard here, and I was playing over here with her. And so, I know that sounds great. But everybody stopped because I was playing the song like verbatim. And I'm just this little 5, 6-year-old, and everybody stopped and listening and looking at me and said, "Hey, Ken," talking to my dad, "your son is playing this song." And it was at that moment my parents knew I had some kind of talent for music, so they started putting all kinds of instruments in my hands. I didn't play the drums, I didn't play the horn, I didn't play, and this was an early age. I hadn't even reached the 4th grade yet. So when I get to the 4th grade, now it's time for me to take up an instrument for real. The first thing I saw, so basically the teacher passed out pictures of instruments. You know, back in the day, you had to choose one. It wasn't, no, I don't want to do this. You had to choose an instrument. And so the first thing I chose was the upright bass because because first of all, nobody was choosing it, and it was something different, and all the boys was choosing sax, and trumpet, and drums, right? And I wanted something different, so I had no idea what it did, and I was like, that looks interesting, so I just chose that. But then I changed my mind at the last minute because I thought about my parents driving a Volkswagen. And there's no way we can fit this big old upright bass in this Volkswagen. So I said, well, I just choose a smaller version of that. That's how the violin ended up in my hands.
Wow.
Just out of convenience. Just trying to be convenient.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it had
So
nothing to do with I love the violin. No. As a matter of fact, when I started playing, I was like, really, why did I choose this thing? No, what happened, it was my competitive spirit that made me stick with it. Because, you know, in elementary school, you in the orchestra, you do the chairs and all that. And I never could get first chair. I was like, so I started practicing and all that kind of stuff. But now, keep in mind, as I'm getting older in school, it's becoming not cool now. Now it's late. I'm in the 7th, 8th grade. Now my friends looking at me, you play a violin? This is where I used to keep it in the square case. I used to keep it at home. I used to keep it in locker at school. I didn't want nobody to know what I was playing. They asked it to be in a square case. They asked, Ken, what's that? I'd be like, a trombone. They'd be like, what's that? A trumpet. I just lied. Because I did not want it to, it's funny to this day. I didn't, right.
Yeah.
And what's funny to this day, I still carry a square case. It just kind of stuck with me, but not for that reason. But so here I am, you know, sneaking the violin playing. And to this day, when I do big shows and people that was in high school, like, when did you play the violin? I did. I was hiding from you. But no, what happened?
It's a closet violin.
Right, I know. Just to move on with the story, let me get out of high school. So eventually, as a senior in high school, I made it cool because what I started doing, I started playing songs from the radio. And so I started playing songs that my peers were familiar with. And they was like, oh, you be jamming on the violin. So that kind of made it cool. But then I get to college, went to Georgia State first. And I said, okay, I want to major in music. But at the time, all they had was music education and performance. And back then, I didn't want to be a teacher. They just didn't make enough money for me. I'm sorry. And then the other end, music performance, I did not necessarily want to play in the Atlanta Symphony, because that's what that actually meant. Performance on the violin, meaning you're getting ready to get classically trained to prepare you for somebody's symphony. And I really didn't want to do that. So my mom was like, you need a backup plan. I was like, okay, so I just switched it, went to DeVry and got a degree in computer information. Did I stop playing the violin? Of course not. I was just playing on the side for fun.
Still in the square case, though.
Just still in the square case, just playing for fun. And ended up, you know, graduating from DeVry. I had a job before I even graduated. So that's how I got into IT. I'm giving you all the points.
I like that.
So here I am in IT. I'm working. Oh, I'm the man because I'm young. I done worked my way up in the company, got my own office. I'm programming. Still playing the violin. As a matter of fact, every time I got off work, every day of the week I would find somewhere where a jam session was going on. And I would go and sit in. I might have known one song, but I would go and sit in and play that song, and everybody like, oh, you were good. You was okay. Only because I was a black man playing the violin. Oh man, that's great. So I was getting over on the fact because I was playing the violin, and it was a very odd thing for me to be playing the violin. Like, you play a violin? So here I am working, and every night I'm going to jam and have my instrument in my trunk. Every night. It didn't matter how late I stayed up, no matter how early I had to be at work. And so that kept on going. Now it's getting to the point where I'm getting weddings. People want me to play. You want me to play at your wedding? Really? You gonna pay me money to play at your wedding? For real?
That's right.
You know, but I was just playing the violin because I was just loving playing it. As a matter of fact, I was looking through my dad's records one time, and I seen this picture of this brother with, holding a violin with an afro with no shirt on. And I was really curious, and I put that album on. That was Noah Pointer, and I was like, "Wow, he's doing something different." And it was from that point I really, really started loving the violin. It really was. I still didn't say anything I wanted to do it for a career. That's coming. It's coming close. It was just about I was loving this thing. I just wanted to dig deeper. I wanted to research people. So now here I am working, and I'm doing jam sessions at night. Now I'm contracting. So now I'm not 9 to 5, now I'm contracting. I gotta buy my own benefits. But that's okay because I was making money. I was a programmer. And I'm still playing the violin. So everything is going great until the one day the manager calls me into the office. And he was like, Ken, you know your contract has expired. What do you want to do? Do you want to, continue it? And something just made me say no. I don't know what. But now here I am driving home, thinking to myself, I'm unemployed right now. What am I going to do? So I wasn't too much worried because, headhunters had been calling me anyway because, I was a man. I thought I was a man, programmer, or whatever. I was like, I get my resume together. So now I'm home now. I got to tell my wife that I just got pretty much fired. So I said, wife, here comes the transition. I just lost my job. And it was what she said would change my life. She said, don't worry about me and the kids. And she's not even working at that point. She was like, don't worry about us. She said, you should put all of your effort into your music and we'll be all right. And it was at that point I made a decision to be the best violinist I could ever be. That was 20 years ago. I hadn't looked back. And there you go. That was the long version. That's all right. The short and the long.
Well, I think the long version is much more powerful than the short version, and we have plenty of time. And the other thing is, what that shows everybody is that you have to follow your passion. At some point, it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah, it caught up with me.
Yeah, so no matter how much you try to play that safe side,
Exactly.
at some point, the true you is going to come out.
Every
As
time.
disappointing as it can be to those around you, and in your case, you had that full support.
Yeah.
Two square box, baby.
Yeah, I got a square box. I'm just joking.
All right, how did it all start down there?
Back when James Brown, I was 7 years old, went to a James Brown concert, and I almost ran away from my mom, and ran backstage, slid under the stage, and I was gonna run and live with James Brown. My mom was like, yo. That's how it really started. So if day one,
Hiding under the cage.
that's right, I didn't want to be a fireman, police, or nothing. I knew I wanted to do music. So at the end of the day, I was a gifted musician. Like most musicians, I played by ear. I didn't know any notes at all. You couldn't tell me a thing. So my initial start was I figured I'd come to Atlanta, Georgia, like most of us. Oh, I'm going to go to Atlanta and become this superstar. Well, I had to get a job, so I couldn't eat. So I had to work for a moving company, restaurants. I was like, yo, I'm gonna save this money and get my, studio equipment so I can start recording, because I was an artist at the time. So in the midst of doing all of that, working these jobs, I had about maybe 60 jobs. Couldn't keep a job because every time somebody called for a gig, I was going on the gig. If you fired, I'm like, dude, I'm gone. So at the end of the day, but I still had to work because I was young and just got married. The girl I grew up in high school with got married, had kids, and I was still trying to hustle it because sometimes you find yourself in the middle of a life situation and still trying to make your dream come true. So sometimes people feel, how can I do this? And so I was able to do it. What happened, I had a opportunity to go out with this group and had no clue. I knew a little bit. They heard me work because I had a natural ear, but technically I had no knowledge. So I'm on the gig, sweating like I don't know what am I? All these dudes, they killing in here. They want me to do this. So anyway, I winged my way through it. After that, a couple of weeks later, I finally figured it out. Bottom line, what changed for me from working my 9 to 5 to that, I just made a decision. I was like, you know what? Forget it. Let me just go out here. If I get a gig, every time I get a gig, I'm a network. And that was my magic key. I had the magic attitude, the good attitude. People can always speak to me and correct me. I didn't have any issues. So all I knew to do was just keep networking and meeting different people. So that's what I did to actually boost my career. So in the midst of that, my career started from a musician to production manager to sound engineer to producer to I've done every spectrum of the music industry. I think of even record company owner, which so at the end of the day, if you have a dream, don't let your situations and circumstances stop you from whatever you're trying to do. Still, press through. There's going to be an opportunity because life is like a spotlight. Sometime in life, it's going to shine on you. When it shines on you, you just got to be ready. And that's what happens a lot of times. We're not ready. We don't prepare ourselves. We think, well, I'm not doing anything. That's your preparation time. That's the time you need to sharpen yourself, getting all your tracks together, sharpen your mix, the whole nine. So pretty much my story is paraphrased really, really short. So you have another question to add to this?
Well, the bottom line in what you're saying is that you have to be ready when opportunity knocks, and that's a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
They think they have plenty of time. You know, the whole deal is that you've got 20 years to do your first record and 6 months to do your second.
I'd like to add something to what you're saying. Opportunity that happened to me. You know, sometimes visual-wise, you'll see yourself. You say, hey, yo, this is how I'm going to make it. I'm going to be this huge rapper. I'm going to be this huge such and such. I never knew I was going to be one of the top 10 engineers in the nation. I had no clue. Never. I thought I was going to be the greatest keyboard player and producer. You know, I was working with E40. I was doing all the E40 joint. I was doing the TLC stuff. I was in studios producing every night, hanging out. Who knew I was going to do this? I make more money doing my engineering than I have most artists. So, but at the end of the day, when you get an opportunity, don't close the door because it's not the one you think. It may take you to the other area that you need to be, So you can never wash away the skills and the things that you learn in the midst of that ride.
That's right. And the ride is part of the fun. I mean,
That's it.
When people, that's right. Almost to a person, when somebody's accepting a major award, they say, it's getting there. That was the fun part, and then the award is just the icing on the cake. Terrence?
Yes, sir.
If you will, enlighten everybody as to how you got involved in all this.
Well, it started, I'm not going to go way. I was 15 years old and I started tearing up my parents' turntables. I was a DJ first in South Carolina. I had a manager, didn't know what I was doing, didn't care about money. You know, like how they say you get screwed. We wasn't even thinking about it. We was like, you get to stay in nice hotels and eat all the food you want. Nice girls. Anyway, but started from way back then. Got with my professor, went to University of South Carolina, felt it was just too big. Narrowed down to Benedict College, took up mass communications and broadcast. And it pretty much became best friends with my professor. And she saw something in me that she was like, did you sleep here? Like, yeah, I sleep here. Forget my dome. I sleep. I never had this kind of access to the equipment. And that was it. Just went from that to straight on the Superfest tour? LL Cool J, Run DMC. I'm on tour, not getting paid, just lifting boxes, doing what I need to do, just moving around. And before you know it, when you really shine and really push it, and you believe in yourself, and I guess your nutrition part is being taken care of, and your clothes is being taken care of, and you got that dream, I was that behind. That I just kept going. To the point, people started tapping me on the shoulder like, saying, I'll pay you to do this. And I was like, do what? They was like, just carry my artists around. Carry them around where? And they was like, what you do with the tour. You know what you do with the tour. So I learned that, everything you do, network real strong, and shine. stand out. You know, you see a piece of paper, pick it up. Somebody's watching you pick that paper up, like, oh, okay, you got something about it, so he's kind of different. You know, the way you move. And I believe that's what took my career, like, just, even now, you know, people still like, hey, T, I need you to do a tour. Hey, T, I need you to do some A&R. Or, hey, T, I need you to do this manufacturing and follow the tour. When I used the tour thing, I guess I wanted to start that with the tour, because I've used that to now follow an Akon tour, like internationally. Like we ship 3 months ahead of, you know, and I'm known for it. So a lot of people go, hey T, we got a tour just on shipping. I know it sounds crazy, right? But it's still, I'm still a product in the industry. But I built a rep on it, you know, because everything's there, it's right, counted right, you know, right posters, turntables, whatever it is. So we do a good job on that. And then somebody will call me in a meeting and say, hey man, I want you to be A&R on this project. So I took that one little free whatever, and I've never looked back. Never looked back. So my story's kind of just quick, you know what I mean? Like the manufacturing, the graphics, whatever. Like I'm known as the top 10 graphic designer in Atlanta, and I know nothing about Adobe. But that's branding. That's branding. My girl Africa, I don't know where she went, but she does a great job at branding also. Yeah, just, you know, sometimes when you, at least me, well, when I saw that opportunity and people started calling me, I just built everything around that. From the label, I owned the label, went bankrupt on that, but we did a label deal, we did a couple of things. You know, with the manufacturing, the graphics, it would never stop. So I just had to put my foot in it that, you know, I knew I wasn't going to go nowhere financially. No matter what the industry does, I'll still always be cool with my family. That's it.
All right, well, there you have the backstory there, guys. And so I think probably what everybody is interested in too is one of the things that Terrence was talking about was I did this for free. I put in the time. I did what I needed to. I think everybody up here has certainly done that. And you continue to do it.
Keep doing it.
And a little bit more than you want to, you know. The whole deal, y'all know about.
I was young and
Call it
wild.
charity now.
Yeah, y'all know the whole thing about.
So we call it charity now.
Yeah, right, y'all know the thing about spec deals, that means spec I won't get paid, right? So that's usually what that turns out to be. Yeah, but I think that there's times where you just know it's the right thing to do. And in Terrence's case, and I think Alex, he talked about that too, that, you know, you put in some time and then you just happen, the word gets out. And then you know, and that's part of the deal, like with the SAE students that are in here too, about doing internships. If you're at the right studio and so forth, you need to be seen. You need to be doing what you do, and you need to get your chops up before that, and be ready when opportunity knocks, which is what we were talking about.